This could be Clown Alley, most anywhere. This battered up old Derby and I have been around one circus or another. Great big ones, little mud shows, for a good long time now. Ever since the day I gave up being the daring young man on the flying trapeze and became Willie the Clown. For something like 30 years, Willie and I have been living out of trunks in Clown Alley, wandering up and down across the country, season after season. All that time, we've been part of a world that's entirely different from yours. The world of the circus, where color and thrills and laughs are our everyday stock in trade. That's the story I'd like to tell you tonight. The story of the circus, and especially the people who make it the wonderful thing that it is. There's 1,000 different things you can say about the circus, and some of them will be true. You know how the circus people exaggerate, but one thing is certain. If you'll just look at the circus through the eyes of a child, you can believe everything you see. It happens nowhere else on earth. But at the circus, it happens every day. Fantasy turns real right before your very eyes, and marvels occur as a matter of course. It's a world of wonders, where everything glitters and flashes and surprises, where all the men are brave and all the women glamorous. It's a magic mixture, and only the circus has the recipe. It's a world where physical skill reaches such perfection that it can be turned into comedy. What the rest of us couldn't do if our lives depended on it, a circus act does just for laughs. Will wonders never cease? Well, not until the last act's over. The biggest thrill of all is saved to last. And the show ends with a bang, a real one. This is where two worlds part company, when the show's all out and over. The towners have had their once-a-year dip into sawdust and spangles, and now they'll go back to their regular routine, homes and jobs and being solid citizens. But it's a gypsy world they're leaving. The circus is a village that moves by night and never really comes to rest. When the performance under the big top is over, a private show begins that few outsiders ever get to see. They call it the teardown. It takes as much skill and organization as anything that goes on under the center ring spotlights. When it's time for the circus to pull up stakes, even the performing elephants pitch in. The big top, the main tent, is always the last one up and the last one down. In only a few hours, in the dead of the night, all the tons of apparatus and equipment that hold the circus together will have to be packed away and loaded on trucks for circus day in another town tomorrow. So the whole procedure of the teardown has to go on to a set pace and a definite rhythm, with no delays and no lost motion. You may never see their names on a program or poster, but even when nobody's around to applaud, the circus work hands put on quite a performance. Now comes the loneliest part of being on a circus, traveling by night like aliens through the sleeping world of the towners to tomorrow's stand, 50, 75, 150 miles away. Anyone know what town this is? After a while, they all look alike. Ashtabula, Beaver Falls, Kokomo. But what's the difference? It's today's town. There's a joke about when circus people sleep. The answer is in the winter. When the season's on, you sleep whenever you get the chance, which isn't often and not for long. The same stakes that came out of the ground the night before go right back in the next morning, and an empty lot begins to pulse with the spirit of a special way of life. As Toto Jones, the old rope chatter, says, the circus is one thing you've got to do together or you can't do it at all. A circus lot isn't only the place where you work, it's a place where you live. And the living isn't too fancy. It's more or less like camping out. And even common facilities like running water can be mighty scarce. People have to make out the best they can. But the animals always do all right. The circus cookhouse has a daily shopping list that would stagger any housewife. 30 crates of eggs at a sitting, sausage by the mile, and enough pancakes to pave a street. 300 hungry people have to be fed 3 times a day. And even if the cook doesn't get many compliments, no one's ever missing when the cookhouse flag goes up. A circus attracts all kinds and types, but there's one talent they have in common. They're all great eaters. And so are the big cats. 15 pounds of horse meat apiece is their daily blue plate. All that spiel about flashing fangs and ripping claws, it's true. A trained animal is not a tamed animal. You can take the cat out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the cat. What makes the circus? If you ask George Werner, he'll tell you in one word: canvas. As boss canvasman, he's been putting up big tops and taking them down and stitching them together for 40 years. George joined out when he was only 14. Even today, there are always plenty of kids who'd love to run away with the circus. Mostly they have to settle for just a few hours on the lot, helping to set up the big show. But if the kid pusher picks them, they've got it made. All the fun of being a circus hand and a free ticket to the bleachers besides. The handiest hand around any circus is always the elephant, pushing or pulling or heaving or hauling. Work is the best trick an elephant does. Why do work hands keep coming back to the circus year after year? Pay is miserable, the life is hard, but they tell you it gets into the blood. It gets to be part of you. When you're with it and for it, you become an accepted member of a special brotherhood. A man may not fit anywhere else in life, but on a circus, he can belong. There'll be 100 things going on at once now. Grandstands being set up, rigging and lights hung, and the wild animal arena put together. And above all the hustle and bustle, from anywhere on the lot, you'll begin to hear the chant of the rope caller. He'll be setting the pace for the guying out crew as it moseys around the big top, tightening that great spread of canvas, tuning it to the wind. That chant is the theme song of the circus. It's been heard for generations, for longer than the memory of the oldest elephant.
Break it, long drag, shove down, go long. Heave it heavy, shake it, break it, long drag, shove down, go long. Heave it heavy, shake it, break it, long drag, shove down, go long. Heave it.
It hasn't been many hours since the last teardown, but there she is. all set up again and ready to go. Now, everybody can sit back and take a break till showtime. It's called the backyard at the circus, not backstage. It's where the performers live their personal lives and outsiders aren't welcome. Here's where you see the stars without their spangles. Trapeze stars like Lenormand, for instance. Getting the kinks out is a regular routine. That's why performers are called kinkers. They live in trailers, and the kids are seasoned troopers before they can walk. But in this village on wheels, there's a kind of warmth and togetherness that's hard to match. You might find Alex, the tattooed sword swallower, passing the time of day with Ruperto, the Cuban flyer. Life may be a bit unusual in the backyard, but it couldn't be more neighborly. Circus people may be nomads, but nowhere else are family ties more binding. Daddy's job is usually a family affair, with everybody a part of the act. With the Gaonas from Mexico, the trampoline is a household tradition. And one day, still, another Gaona will bounce right into the big time. There'll be long hours of practice, day after day, year in and year out. And it'll take courage and desire to perform the way Brother Tito does in the center ring. No family is more fabulous in the entire world of the circus than the great Wallendas. Led by Carl Wallenda, they represent 4 generations of high-wire performers. In the Wallenda clan, the life and safety of each depend on the skill and the discipline of everyone else. These are people who work on a thin cable, 35 feet above the ground, with no net below. One false move from any one of them, one awkward motion at any time, can mean serious injury or even death. Tino, age 11, followed by his mother, Jenny, followed by sisters and brothers and cousins and uncles and aunts. A brother act. Carl on top is 57. Herman below is 60. One member of the troupe is not in the family. She's Fontaine Kincaid, who ran away from college to join the circus. Her stunt is called the revolve, and for the men, it's one of the hardest of all. It takes extra strong legs and a keen sense of balance to avoid being shaken off the wire. But the great specialty of the great Wallendas is their 3-high pyramid. The circus program describes the act as hazardous and hair-raising exploits at dizzy heights by the most consistently thrilling daredevils in circus history. Are they afraid up there? Well, Herman Melinda says, if you don't feel afraid, you're either a fool or you haven't got enough experience. You have to realize that there's always danger in front of you and danger behind you. And only a few weeks after these pictures were taken, it happened. The pyramid fell, and 2 of the Willinda troupe were killed, and 1 was crippled, as thousands watched what you're seeing now. This time it ends as all great circus acts should, with everyone safe and sound after a beautiful performance. But in the circus, no one can ever know what the next performance may bring. On the circus, about 45 minutes to showtime, a bugler from the band sounds the first call. That tells everybody to start getting ready. You hear it for every matinee and night show, all season long. Then the tempo in the backyard quickens. And for the performers, those twice-a-day moments of truth are approaching. Once again, they'll go out and court another new audience with the best they've got to offer, their courage and their skill. And at the circus, it's all live and real. No doubles, no stand-ins, and no trick photography. But all through the years, with every new show, there's always that old question. Are they lining up at the ticket wagon? Or as the circus people would say it, what's it like today? Is anybody out there? Yes, they still come. It's the age of the atom, but the ancient lure of the tent show still pulls them in. It's the time of television, hi-fi, and the widescreen movie, but the cornball joys of the Midway still hold their own. In a mechanized world that worships progress, the circus goes right on making its pitch in the same old way. The writer Ernest Hemingway tried to explain it once. The circus, he said, is the only ageless delight you can buy with money. No Midway can possibly be complete without its sideshow, where the ballyhoo outside is a show in itself. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and see Alex, the famous sword swallower. And he does swallow them. They do not fold up in the handle. Nothing spells circus like strange and outlandish animals that come from strange and far-off places. But of all possible animals on Earth, none of them spell circus like the elephant. A good elephant boss like Rex Williams can dominate a whole herd single-handed and make them come a-running at his call, like a lot of playful puppies. Big and powerful as they are, elephants need someone they can trust and respect. And Rex is a man who speaks their language. Rex Williams will tell you that elephants were the first savage beast to be dominated by man. They're the most responsive to the trainer's will and can be taught to do practically anything but salute. Getting an elephant up on only 2 legs, that's one of the hardest tricks there is to teach him. But everything they do in the circus ring is unnatural to them. As another famous trainer said, it's frightening to think what elephants could do if they wished any human harm. But they don't. They're the most even-tempered, willing, and great-hearted creatures on God's footstool. They wish to please man. And over the centuries, in 1,000 center rings, that's just what they've been doing. The biggest American circus still under canvas is the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Show. It crisscrosses the country, trooping through 23 states, mostly one-night stands. And wherever it pitches its big top, it makes a local holiday, Circus Day. Showtime, and it's hurry, hurry, hurry in the backyard. Everybody from the ringmaster to the Chinese girl who hangs by her hair gets ready for the grand entry. And in Clown Alley, the old circus magic is working too. In everyday life, clowns look no different from your next-door neighbor. But at showtime, they turn themselves into creatures of fun and fantasy. They change into buffoons and harlequins, who trace their beginnings back into the mists of time, when man first began to laugh at himself. P.T. Barnum said it best. Clowns are the pegs that hold the circus together. At the theater, they'd call it waiting in the wings. But at the circus, it's called the connection. That's where the music of the band cues the kinkers for their entrance. Away from the big top, Mrs. Andre Fox is a housewife and mother. But here, she's something else. She's Lenormand, star attraction of the center ring, Denmark's lovely goddess of flight. When it's Lenormand's time to go aloft, the whole arena hails her entrance. It's 40 feet and more to the top of the big tent. There'll be nothing but thin air between her and the ground. What's it like to be way up there? Only Lenormand can tell you.
I can't wait to get up there. The minute I put my hand on the bar, I'm just as calm as anything. It just feels like I belong up there, you know, like being home. So I get to feel good, you know, mischievous. Feel like I can do better than the next day and the day before. And well, it's hard to explain the feeling. Everything goes just like, how would you say, like a song? No nervosity, no nothing. Oh, I just love it. I get up there and the only thought on my mind is I hope this will get them. I hope this will get them. You know, and you just put everything you got into each tricks. That last tricks, the only thing I try to concentrate is my balance, because I gotta be sure to go exactly at the same time to get the best effect from it. If I don't go right, it can look too smooth to where it doesn't surprise them enough.
That's circus, the one form of entertainment the whole world understands. It's the same all over the earth. Over in Russia, they call it cirque. The government runs it, like everything else. And there's a state-controlled circus in every big city. But even in the Soviet Union, it's pretty hard to make propaganda with an animal act. How can you hate when you're having fun? Of course, they think their circus is best, and maybe they think they invented it too. But the circus was ages old when Moscow was only a mud heap. It goes all the way back to ancient Rome, where wild beasts and even wilder chariot races were center ring attractions at the Circus Maximus. Those were the times when the towners came not only to see feats of strength and daring, but to watch men kill each other. But the circus stunts we know go back even further in time. Jugglers, acrobats, and sword swallowers are older than history. Like everything else in America, the circus began in a small way. And like everything else, it got bigger rapidly. Dan Rice was our first great clown. Besides being a friend of Lincoln's, he infected the young Ringling boys with the circus fever. But it was the great Phineas Taylor Barnum who made the country circus conscious, with midgets like Tom Thumb and monsters like Jumbo the Elephant. When he joined with Bailey in 1888, the result was the greatest show on earth. The seven Ringling brothers, though, raised the circus to undreamed of heights. Why, when their posters promised a stupendous conglomeration of amazing animals and artists, you could almost believe it. It took a small army to put the show on the road in the heyday of the Ringling Circus. And the stars really scintillated. Stars like Bird Millman, who twinkled along a tight wire as though she had wings. There were names to conjure with then. Back in the 20s and 30s, Lillian Lietzel, Alfredo Cardona, Con Calino, Poodles Hannaford, May Worth. Names that still dance in the memories of the old-time circus fans. And to be young then, on Circus Day, when the street parade came blaring and flashing and creaking and trumpeting by. Well, to be a kid then was to feel the thrill you could never forget. Well, those were the grand old days of the circus, all right. Back there when we were all a whole lot younger. Street parades, steam calliopes, and all the rest of it. But there were plenty of bad days, too, even then. The circus is forever battling something. Hard times and floods and mud and blowdowns. One kind of disaster after another. Everybody who's ever been with it has seen some mighty dark days. One of the saddest days of all, I guess, was back in 1956 in Pittsburgh, when the biggest show of all, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, folded its tents for the last time and went indoors for keeps. That was a bad one. But you know how the circus is. It'll exaggerate everything, even its own funeral. Nothing can hold the circus down for long, it seems. Every generation falls in love with it all over again. After all, that's just the way the Ringling Boys started, by giving pin and penny shows in their own backyard, and the kids are still doing it. Every kid has a strong streak of the show-off, and that's the essence of the circus. Some of them never do recover. At Florida State University, they capitalize on the circus urge. They make it a regular part of the curriculum. 45 different acts are taught, all of them good for credits and physical education. The college professors have discovered what circus people have known for a long time. It takes more than just muscle to master the tricks of the big top. It takes concentration and character and self-confidence. Florida is something of a circus state anyway, and Sarasota is traditionally the home of circus people. It may look like any other town, but when Father comes driving home from work, he may not be wearing a gray flannel suit. There probably isn't another spot anywhere just like Sarasota. It's a place where the family life of suburbia is mixed on almost every block with the alien atmosphere of the circus. In Sarasota, your next-door neighbors could be the Alexanders, the Flying Alexanders, that is, one of the greatest trapeze acts in America. Rose Alexander was a rodeo queen who was taught to ride the trapeze by her husband, Fay. Many insiders consider him the best in the business. He and his troupe are past masters of a difficult and dangerous art, which circus people themselves regard as the most thrilling in the show. Most of the basic circus acts originated in Europe, but the art of flying was perfected here in the United States. All the greatest flyers were developed in America. When it's done perfectly, as the Alexanders do it, the flying return becomes a miracle of teamwork and timing and rhythm. A ballet in space. There's 1,000 things you can say about the circus, and some of them will be true. But a poet said something about it that's eternally true. He said, "The circus is the only spectacle I know that while you watch it, gives the quality of a truly happy dream." After the last act of the last show of every season, the band always plays Old Lang Syne. It's a tradition. They never play Home Sweet Home because too many circus people have got no real homes to go to. And so when the big top comes down for the last time, everybody's always a little sad. Closing day, another circus season gone. And when the last dormitory truck rolls off the lot and heads for winter quarters, there's nothing left of the glittering spectacle that gave so much pleasure to so many thousands. Nothing but the leavings and maybe some memories to rummage through. But the great thing about the circus is, if there are memories to look back upon, there's next spring to look forward to. Members of the circus don't die, and the circus doesn't either. There'll always be another season, and another, and another, and another.
Marching, the 1st Marine Division, the old breed of Guadalcanal and Peleliu, Okinawa, and the new breed, too. Boys who had never stood in battle, but were ready to face it. America was in it with planes and ships because a communist Korea would threaten Japan and endanger Formosa and undermine the whole American position in Asia.